Welcome to another edition of Cracking Hollywood. Today we're going to talk about Hubie Halloween. It is the newest Adam Sandler movie. I guess it depends on when you're watching this, but right now, as we speak, it is the newest Adam Sandler movie out on Netflix. And, we want to find out, is it worth watching? And my answer to that question is, it depends on how far back you go as an Adam Sandler fan. Bear with me. That'll make sense. Now, Hubie Halloween is a story about a typical Adam Sandler style crazy character. In fact, it might be all of Adam Sandler's characters rolled into one character. And in fact, the cast and some of the stuff that goes on are allusions to other Adam Sandler characters or actors and actresses or just plot points. There's little plugs in there. There's last name's Dubois, little French name for Waterboy, the lady from Modern Family, who, we first saw in Happy Gilmore, is in this movie as the female lead again. And it's honestly, I'm going to make a bold statement. It depends on how old you are. I don't know if somebody under the age of 30 says, man, that hits my Adam Sandler spot. And I don't know if somebody over the age of 50 says, man, that hits my Adam Sandler spot. I think if you're in between that range, I think if you remember movies like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and other Happy Madison movies like The Hot Chick, if you remember those movies when they came out, this movie is going to hit your Adam Sandler spot, which I cannot say the same for the last few Adam Sandler movies. Not that I didn't enjoy them. I'm actually a pretty big Adam Sandler fan, so you should actually take that into account as you're listening to this review. But now, the last few Adam Sandler movies were good. They were good enough. And no, actually, there were a couple of them that were bad. I have to go out and say I couldn't get through Sandy Wexler. And I think there was another one that was so serious, I just couldn't to get through it. Although there was another one very recently that was super serious, where he's the jeweler, and that was actually good. I actually really like that movie, even though it was really dark. But from a comedy Adam Sandler standpoint, this one hits the spot in a way Adam Sandler movies have not hit the spot in a very long time. I mean, it's got that heartwarming formula feel to it. It's formulaic in an Adam Sandler way, in a very comforting Adam Sandler way. And it is funny. I don't think I've laughed out loud at an Adam Sandler in the same way you laughed out loud the first time you saw Grown Ups. Like, it's good, but it's funny. And what was the one where they're fighting the real video game characters? Like, I actually really enjoy that movie. I know a lot of people didn't. So again, you should take that into account. But I think I'm a huge Kevin James fan. Seeing Kevin James, it took me a whole 2 minutes to recognize that was Kevin James. And there's just a lot of fun. There's a little Easter eggs in there for Adam Sandler fans. There's just a lot of fun stuff going on, and it seems like they made this movie for Adam Sandler fans between the ages of 30 and 50. All right, so I mean, if you fall into that range, I think you're going to be like, this like hit the spot. This is a good Adam Sandler movie. All right, so that is my take. Again, if you're too young for Adam Sandler, you might be like, what? Why is this so silly? I mean, he really plays out. I mean, the first few minutes the movie starts, you're like, oh my gosh, he's this character again, right? You're gonna be like, how old is Adam Sandler now? And he's pulling off this character again, right? It is that doofy, silly Adam Sandler character, and the supporting characters are their crazy selves. All right, so that is my take on this movie, and I hope that helps answer your question if it is worth watching or not. Now, of course, if you already subscribe to Netflix, it's no skin off your back to try for 10 minutes and see if you like it. But I know it's not costing you money to watch these movies. But, if you're obtaining the movie in another way, do you want to save your bandwidth? And it also depends on where you are. Do you have unlimited internet bandwidth? Are you watching it on your phone and using up data, right? So I guess money's not the only reason. It's not that easy for a lot of people to decide if a movie's worth their time or bandwidth or not. But I hope this helped you decide if Hubie Halloween is worth watching for you. It's actually a pretty fun Halloween movie. It's no Babysitter and the new Babysitter sequel, but it is a good hit the spot Adam Sandler movie for those that are longtime Adam Sandler fans. There you go. Now stick around because we are going to have a bit of an I'm exasperated in this discussion that we're about to have because we're going to find out if Gen Z is bad at Halloween. It's actually a pretty entertaining, funny discussion that we're going to have now as we rope in the folks up from What Were We Thinking? All right, so as I just alluded to, this is now a segment we like to call
Halloween. Man, Gen Z kids are so lazy. So, dude, they're coming to the door. So I got all excited because the kid showed up, the first kid that showed up, and he's got a horse mask on. And I finally crushed the final season of BoJack Horseman, right? I was so like, it is one of my favorite shows. And I yelled at him so excited. I'm like, "Are you BoJack?" And he just looked at me in his weird autistic Gen Z look on their face they have all the time.
I know that.
And he had no idea what I was talking about. And his little sister wasn't even in costume. And I'm like, "Look, we've got a lot of candy here and it's snowing. So I don't think a lot of kids are going to show up. Take as much candy as you want." So not only is there no trick or treat, there's no costumes. For the whole bunch of kids, they don't really even want the candy. I think their parents are just forcing them out. I just think Gen Z kids sit around and stare at the wall all day.
All right, let's attack that look first of all. That look that someone's giving is like, I'm going to look everywhere but at you to demonstrate how uncomfortable I am with what's happening right now, right? But if you had 100 of these people in a room not looking at each other, demonstrating how uncomfortable they are, and then nobody's really telling each other anything, you just have a bunch of people really confused in a room looking all over the place except at each other, right?
Like now.
Like now.
Yeah, unfortunately, every one of those kids is a CEO of an app, though.
This Halloween, we hid, literally. I don't know, ever since Sam left home, it's not fun, right? When I was a kid, I'd go out for Halloween, and there was always the couple of the old lady and the old man that were all excited to ask you what your costume was, which was depressing if they couldn't figure it out. And I thought, oh, one day I'll be that old man. And now Halloween comes, and we just turn off the lights and we hide. We ordered takeout. We hide in the living room with all the lights off.
It isn't so. That's
and
terrible.
Pretend that there's nobody home. I know I know it is terrible, but I'm grouchy this time of year.
I was an unwed zombie dropout mother for Halloween. I had a cheerleader costume on. I was covered in blood and rotting flesh, and because I couldn't figure out how to affix the doll to an umbilical cord and have it dragging behind me.
If I'd seen you, it would have been different. I would have turned on the lights and we would have given you some candy.
I had to put the doll into a box with that sign. It said undead with a big W over the D, so it said unwed.
Undead.
Unwed zombie dropout mother. Spare any brains? Right? Like that was my whole shtick. I did that for a concert actually.
Nice. Well, that beats the snot out of the kid that showed up at my door saying he was Jacket Boy.
Jacket Boy?
Actually, I'd give him something too. That's pretty ingenious. This year, the doorbell rang a couple of times, and I was sure that it was the food arriving because the lights were all off and the house was dark, right?
Yeah.
And it was dark outside and pouring rain.
Yeah, I don't know why people went out.
I don't know why people went out either. They should have postponed Halloween.
They did
by
that in
one
Montreal,
day
apparently.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
that's smart. That's smart. I mean, it's not like,
but
how important is that holiday, right?
How do you postpone? Like, it's always October 31st. Once November 1st hits, everyone's in a different mood.
Well, they got to get Halloween over with so they can run the Christmas ads.
Exactly. You got to start. The Christmas movies have started November 1st. The W Network started playing Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, it was freezing cold and raining, and we got two kids showing up out of, I don't know how many thousands that we tricked into staying away. And they were both soaked. Like 10-year-old kids, and I feel like an old man saying this, but they were soaked, like not just wet, but drenched,
Yeah,
drenched,
it was
soaked to
pouring.
the
We had
skin.
sideways rain that night.
Yeah, like you just pulled them out of the water. And I don't know. I mean, they got candy and pneumonia, I suppose.
It was pouring
Yeah,
and cold.
That's what Halloween's all about.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of my roommate who has a 7-year-old daughter, he said to me just yesterday, he said, "Oh man, you should have seen. I took Sayuri to her dance class, and all the girls in the dance class, they're all like standing around like adults that have been partying really hard for 3 days. Like they're all just like, oh, okay, we're gonna get through this because of the candy drop, the candy ups and downs of the candy,
Oh my gosh.
and now they're all like together, like, all right, dance class, okay."
Today's show is brought to you by Ritalin. The more you take, the less you care. And by the letters P, T, S, and D, and the number pi.